Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And welcome to the Weird Science Comics channel here on YouTube, where I have some breaking news, kind of. There's a book coming out, and it's a book by Tom King and Jorge Fornes that is called Rorschach. And there is the cover. Cover's awesome. That is a really, really well done cover. Kind of looks like an old Atari cartridge in my mind, a little, but also maybe even a D&D module. That's what I think. Tom King and Jorge Fornes present a new vision of one of the most riveting characters from Watchmen. Rorschach may have spoken truth, but he wasn't a hero. Set 35 years after Dr. Manhattan turned his butt to dust, this new DC 12-issue maxi series begins Tuesday, October 13th. And the series is set 35 years after the original Watchmen and shows a world where Rorschach has become a cultural icon. And I'm one of those guys. I love Watchmen. Watchmen was the first comic I ever read. I read it before I even knew I liked comics. I didn't really start reading comics years and years after I read Watchmen, but it was so big and it was so important. And I was told that it wasn't just a quote unquote stupid comic. So I ended up reading it and I loved it. Since then, a lot of other things, a lot of Watchmen things have come out, and I've read most of them. I haven't watched the HBO show, I'll tell you that. I have not watched that. I'm not a big TV guy or movie guy, really, so I haven't done that. And also, what do you think? I'm a Rockefeller. I can afford that HBO. I mean, really. So with that, though, I have read the before Watchmen books. I've read Doomsday Clock, obviously, recently, and none of them have captured that magic that Watchmen had. And I've come to the realization that I don't think anything will. It's a set thing. It's a thing that's great on its own. If you want to ask me what it reminds me of and how I look at it, it's like the Star Wars, the original trilogy. That is my thing. Might not be yours, and that's fine. But if I want Star Wars, I go back to the original three. If I want Watchmen, I go back to Watchmen. I've reread it a bunch of times because of that. And so all of these things, even Doomsday Clock, that I liked in general, but wasn't for the Watchmen stuff. I wanted to see what was going on with the DC universe and what was, supposed to be really big for the DCU and everything that we read and talk about in that. So having all that said, it's when we get these announcements and things like this, I often just I'll see how it is or whatnot. But I don't know that I'm going to be diving into this. I have to figure it out by the time it comes out. But it isn't necessarily, this is like after Watchmen because it is set 35 years after. Rorschach obviously is dead, but seems as if he's reappeared. We'll get to that. First, we'll hear why Tom King wrote it and what it means to him and what he thinks it's about. Like the HBO Watchmen show, and very much like the original 86 Watchmen, this is a very political work, said King. It's an angry work. We're so angry all the time now. He's right. We are. Everybody's angry. And so the thing, though, before I go on, I'm not a big politics in comics guy. I don't mind if they're there, but I like it to be kind of, having both sides of the deal. Yeah, it could be political, but I need it to be enjoyable as well, not just political. And I worry maybe we'll go. And also, if you're going to announce it as a real big political work, and go all out. Don't sit there and kind of tiptoe around the stuff. So I hope that he does go full out and give people that, but we have to do something with that anger. I mean, you could end up taking a pottery class. You can do yoga, maybe, go on a diet, exercise. Nope. What he's doing is writing Rorschach. And it's called Rorschach not because of the character Rorschach, but because what you see in these characters tells you more about yourself than about them. That's kind of his MO. This is kind of something that he ends up saying before each of these big books that he does. Mr. Miracle, Heroes in Crisis, Strange Adventures. You'll get a lot of this Tom King speak beforehand saying, hey, it's not really about the character. Really, it's about the way that people look at heroes and what they it's not about that. It's about the pain and suffering, all these things. But the problem is, by the time the 12 issues come about, sometimes that whole entry statement gets a little skewed. It gets a little lost in the shuffle. I'm talking mainly about Heroes in Crisis there, but even stuff with his Batman run and things like that. And that's one of the things that worries me about Tom King. He keeps doing mysteries, but at the end, and even if you're a Tom King fan, please just think of the endings to these books. Heroes in Crisis ends where you have Wally West being the quote-unquote bad guy, but not just that, having all of the clues that were laid out earlier kind of just thrown away and finished up with exposition. You end up with a Mr. Miracle where throughout that whole thing, who even knew what the mystery was? And then by the end, you got an ambiguous ending. And so it didn't really nail that, though some people love that. Ambiguous endings of a mystery drive me nuts. And Strange Adventures, even right now that's going on, I can't say obviously how it's going to end, but even that, you're kind of shifting focus a little for 3 issues. You're meandering a bit, not really showing any evidence or clues about what this big mystery is and things. So I worry about any time there is a mystery, and it does seem to be a mystery because when they go and explain what the book is about, it points to, kind of conspiracies and things, which goes great with Rorschach and the Watchmen universe. If I had my druthers, I would have said that I'd rather have Tom King do a question book in the current continuity. But again, he's kind of a guy, it's best to kind of put him out of the regular continuity and let him do his own thing. But so what does it mean when Rorschach reappears as part of a pair of assassins try to kill the first candidate to oppose President Robert Redford in decades? Follow one determined detective as he walks backward in time, uncovering the identities and motives of the would-be killers, taking him deep into a dark conspiracy of alien invasions, disgraced do-gooders, mystical visions, and yes, comic books. And yeah, so that seems like a Rorschach thing, seems interesting. It allows Tom King, setting it that 35 years in the future, it allows him to play with his own kind of sandbox set in that universe, things like that. So we'll have to see how it is. I was looking online on Twitter when this was announced, and a lot of people are of one of 2 camps here. There's somebody, the one camp, hey, I love anything Tom King does, and I will buy it all. That's cool. And then the others, kind of where I am of, I don't need any more Watchmen. Watchmen was great on its own, and I really don't need more. But it does allow other people to. And maybe this is one of those things where there's some people who are Tom King fans who haven't read Watchmen, and now they will go back and read that. And that's always awesome. So with all that said, I'd like to know what you think about all this and think, do you need more Watchmen? Do you want more Watchmen? Is it something you're excited about? Does Tom King, you love him? Do you hate him? Do you get worried? Whatnot? But we'll see how it all goes down. Again, like I said earlier, it starts October 13th. So that is pretty cool. But thanks, everybody, for listening to this and watching. And I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you would check out the show note things underneath where there are all sorts of links to weird science stuff, podcast websites, all that sort of thing. Also, if you like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That would be really good. But thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.